I'm making this video for anyone who is thinking about joining the military. If you are in a situation where you feel like you have nothing else to turn to, or you just want to be patriotic and, sacrifice for your country. But I'll be honest, that's not how I came to join the Army. My story starts in a small town called Waco, Texas. And it's 1996, just graduated high school. What am I gonna do? Okay, I didn't want to go to college. All my friends talking about college, going to and all I heard was more school. More school? No, I didn't want to do that. So I talked to a recruiter at school once before. The game they were kicking was pretty solid at the time. The game from the recruiters was, oh, so you thinking about going to school? Look at your friends. They going to school and they working. You go to the military, all you got to do is work, baby. For me, I was like, I'm sold, right? It took me some time though, right? Because I was still weighing out options. I'd gone to work with my dad in Houston. He did a lot of work outside of Waco, and he was in Houston at the time, and that lasted for about a week. Drove out to Houston, stayed 5 days, and he was like, figure it out, go back home. I stayed at the house that I grew up in by myself, because my mom had moved out. My mom, my sister, and I moved out my junior and senior year of high school. So we were living in an apartment near the Richland Mall in Waco. If you know anything about Waco, you know the Richland Mall, that's on kind of the north side of Waco on the way to McGregor, Texas, right? So I was excited to go with my dad because it was finally like a time for us to bond and hang out, but it didn't work out because he's used to being by himself, and he didn't need some, 18-year-old kid. So I come back, I'm staying at the house by myself. Every day, I'm eating Mr. Gatti's pizza, right? Every day. Dad, send me some money. Send me some money so I can get some food. Pizza. That was my food. 18, baby. I was tight. Pizza, and then I would play ball every day, right? Sometimes I would go play with my cousin in East Waco, or I would play at my old elementary school. They had like 8-foot goals. I was playing it. I was a loser, okay? If you haven't figured it out yet, I was a loser, right? Still am kind of, but have to figure out something. And I think back to a recruiter, and I think back to Cyrus. There was someone else that had joined the Marine Corps. This guy named Cyrus. And I remember Cyrus's uniform. It looked a little bit too stringent for me. Maybe I shouldn't say his name, but it looked a little bit too it was too much for me. And I decided to go to the recruiter. I went to the recruiter station, and all of them, they were all lined up back to back. Air Force, Marine Corps, Navy, Army was the last one. And I skipped past all of them. I remember the Marine Corps because that's what Cyrus joined. He was in the Marines, and I was like, I go to the Army, right? The Navy, I can't swim, so that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, I can't swim, I don't want to deal with the Navy. And the Air Force, had I known. That's why I'm making this video right now. It's for anybody that wants to. If you're thinking about joining, you're going to realize if you're not joining the Air Force, if you're not trying to join the Air Force, try that one first. Because, I wish I'd probably still be in right now if I joined the Air Force, man. Anyway, so I joined the Army. I go in, I talk to the recruiter. To get ready to join, and he sets me up to take the ASVAB, right? And ASVAB is just a cumulative test to see if you have the mental capacity to be in the United States military, right? But a slick trick to know, you don't necessarily have to pass it. They just want to see where you are so they can see where they can put you, right? At least in the Army. I don't know about other services, but I would assume other services would do the same thing. Take the ASVAB. It's 3 hours on a Saturday. He comes pick me up. I take the test. I do okay. It's not super high, but it's not super low. My recruiter talked about some guys that had some super low tests. He was like, look, that dude wants a particular job. He ain't getting it with his ASVAB score. Anyway, so take the test, do okay. Then he wants to set me up to get ready to go to MEPS. He wants me to get ready to go so they can do all the other tests, right? All the physical tests to see you're about to become property of the United States government. They want to see what they got. So I'm getting ready to go to MEPS. I am, it's testing. It's 3 hours away from Waco, right? Now, I wasn't used to that. To take the ASVAB, it was just like a reserve station in Waco. The MEP station was at Fort Sam in San Antonio. It's 3 hours away. It's not just you drive to MEPS and that's it. We're stopping at every single city in between Waco and San Antonio. So we stopped in Temple, stopped in Killeen. I think we may have stopped in Austin. This let you know how long it's been since I've been in Waco, or been in Texas. I don't remember what's in between, but it was a lot. There was about 15 stops, right? So it's a 3 hour drive, but it took us all day. We start in the morning, 6, 7, and we don't get there until 5 at night. And by that time, nobody's at work anymore. MEPS is closed. So you go straight to the hotel. And they room you with a complete stranger. It's not like you can room with somebody that you've met on the bus. They room you with someone else that's getting ready to join a service. They room me with this dude, and he was a weirdo. A straight up weirdo. And I don't know what they do with the women, but the men, they just put you in a room. Whoever you with, that's who you with, right? He could have wanted both beds, and I would have been like, you can have them, dog. I don't want to die. This dude, all night, he was in the bathroom. I'm not kidding. This ain't a joke. No, that's probably him on that train right there. Scary. All night, he was in the bathroom. I was just watching TV. Luckily, there were 2 beds. I was just watching TV, and I'm scared to death. I eventually pass out at some point and wake up the next morning early, 5. Go down, go to get food. It's like a buffet. It's like a Shoney's or something right outside of a La Quinta Inn. And we get breakfast because they want you fed because you're going to be running through tests all day long. You're going to be going from your eye test to your leg test. They're going to test your feet. I had to do the duck walk. They have you in a line in a room. You have your feet like this and you're walking to see if your flat feet would affect you, for your military service. And I definitely have flat feet, but I passed it. The worst part about that duck walk, you're in your tighty whities, you're in underwear. They strip you down. I think the Air Force had another thing that they had to do, but we couldn't see it. We just had to, there was one Air Force dude, he was joining, and he had to do that machine. He said, everybody can leave except for you got to stay and do the machine. He was like, I'm ready for it. He didn't pass. So go back out, taking all the shots, all the HIV tests, all that cool, right? Blood tests, blood work, everything. I take the hearing test. Now, the hearing test at that time, I don't know what it is now, 96, you go into a booth and there's other people and you sit at one of the little stations. You got a pair of headphones, you put those on. Every time it chirps, you push that button. And I go in, I sit down, I'm at number 7. I remember this. I'm at number 7. And the dude, lucky number 7, you know how they're trying to be hospitable for some reason. Lucky number 7, dog. I'm like, yeah. So it gets quiet. And I'm thinking, oh, we're starting? We're all just sitting there, right? And I hear a beep. I hit the button. And I hear another beep. And I hit the button. And it keeps going. Beep, button, beep, button, beep, button. So we taking a test. And we finish. And the dude comes back in. And he said, all right, everybody, you're good except for number 7. He said, you failed, man. In front of everybody. You failed, dog. So take it again. I take it again, right? Closes the door. It's just me in there by myself, quiet. And I'm just kind of sitting there. And it's quiet. And I hear the beep. And I push the button. I hear the beep again, push the button. And I hear the beep again, and I push the button. And then the door opens. And he's like, you already started? I'm like, yeah, didn't it? He's like, the test hasn't started yet at all. I don't know what you're hearing. I take it 3 more times. And it takes me so long. The next cycle of people come in to take the test. The cycle that was behind me, new people come in. They all pass it. I fail. I'm still at number 7, right? The 3rd time I took that test, he said, move to 12. Come here, man. Move to 12. I moved to 12. Failed it, right? So that's 4 times. I leave. He said, you need to talk to the doctor, right? And I don't know if this dude is a hearing doctor. I don't know if he works with hearing impaired people. I just think he's a doctor. I mean, I'm just being honest. So I'll go talk to him. And he's got an attitude with me. Like, he's upset that I didn't. He's like, so what's going on? You failed it? You failed it 5 times? What's the 4 or 5? What's the problem? I'm like, I can't. I'm pushing a button and it's not. Yeah. What are you listening to? Is it a lot of rap music? Is that what it is? A lot of rap? Stay away from that, man. Your ears are probably ringing right now. I'm like, no, they're not ringing. My ears don't hurt at all. Yeah, I'm sure. Right? I go back, I take the test 1 more time. Failed it. Right? And they're just disgusted with me. We're sick of you. So I go back in the waiting area. There's a waiting area. I'm seeing people that are leaving. I'm seeing people that are joining. They have their Marine Corps t-shirts on. They have their Navy shirts on. I see the people swearing in. There's another room. You can see them swearing in, right? And they get me ready. They say, we're going to send you back home, man. And you got to come back. Set it up with your recruiter. You come back. I did all of that. And I just needed to pass that hearing test. So I go back home, go back to Waco, 3 hours, right? 3 hours. And in that 3 hours, it's the 90s, late 90s, there's a song. I don't know who sings it. I love you always forever. I'll put it in the description of this video. I heard that song 15 times on the way there, on the way back, right? I love you always forever. I get ready to go and head back, hang out with my family. My sister's making fun of me. You can't even hear Tim, can't hear nothing. So I got this over my head. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm like, I got to do something because I got to get out of Waco. Something about being at home didn't sit right with me. I felt like there was a lot more out there than I could reach if I lived in Waco. there were a lot of jobs, there were a lot of things that I could have done there, but to see what I had seen, I watched a lot of TV shows, I watched a lot of music videos, and I knew there was a bigger world out there. And I realized the only way I thought that I could get to that was joining a service that was bigger than where I was. So I felt like that was my only way out at the time. Luckily, it was that and not drug dealing. So I'm at home. A week goes by. My recruiter hits me up. He's like, look, here's what we're going to do, right? Because they said you failed that hearing test a few times. So we're going to need you to take it again. And this time, try to not listen to loud music all week. I'm going to send you back in a week. Try not to listen to loud music this week. So I do that. I stay away from hanging out with friends, hanging out with my cousin. He's got one of those old school Buicks we used to ride around. Stayed away from that. Stayed away from box Chevys, all of that. And I wait, go back. 5-hour, 10-hour drive, right? I love you, always, forever, near or far, closer to... Drive all the way up. I'm just there to take the hearing test. Everybody, they got all day, right? They got all of these tests. I have to sit there all day, just take that test. I fail it 3 more times. I fail it again. Don't talk to the doctor. Go wait in the waiting room. I'm there all day. Drive back home, right? Failed it again. All the way back home. I love you always, forever. My recruiter calls me another week later. Let's meet up, man. Let's meet up. Meets up with me. Takes me to Jack in the Box. That's how they used to coerce us a little bit. Fast food. Go to Jack in the Box. Get a jumbo jack with some French fries or whatever. He's like, look, man, I'm going to show you something, right? And he takes me to Walmart in Waco. And he talks to one of my friends, or one of the people that I went to school with. He said, that person, I think they were trying to join. And he said, look, this is where you're going to be if you don't get this together. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you back one more time. Because right now you're in the delayed entry program, but we got to get you out of that. It's been a few months. So we're going to send you up there one more time. This time I want you to pack everything. Everything that you're going to have, all the clothes, pack all of it. And this time, you're going to pass that test. Don't listen to music. I'm like, I don't need to listen to music. He's like, do what you want to do. But you're going to pass that test. Because I got faith in you. I believe in you. So I go back up there, 3 hours, 8 hours, whatever the drive is. I love you, I will forever never. Drive up there. Just got to take the test, right? But they don't take me to MEPS. We went straight to BAMC. Fort Sam in San Antonio is home to Brooke Army Medical Center. That's the biggest Army hospital. And took me there. They carted me off, me and some sergeant, took me up to like the hearing floor. Went up there, and he's like, look, you're going to take the special hearing test, right? So I go up with him, and kind of the same setup, except there's a two-way glass. There's headphones, and there's a microphone. I sit down, I put on the headphones, and I'm looking at the two-way glass, right? I can feel my heartbeat. And in my headphones, I hear, spell cowboy. Yeah, you. Tim, spell cowboy. And I spelled cowboy, Cowboy. Spell Gunsmoke. And I spell Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke. All right, man, you good. Take the headphones off, head out. I take the headphones off. I head out, and the sergeant is shaking my hand. Congratulations, son, you passed it. Let's take you back to MEPS. I got the waiver for the hearing test. They just wanted to know if I could hear. So I go back to MEPS, and I do all the rest of the stuff that people did after they passed every test. I did job selection, and I chose 25 Victor, combat documentation, production specialist, photographer, basically. And I had a couple options. She told me a couple options. She said, oh, you can do infantry. And I was like, nope, my uncle told me no. And she was like, okay. Physician's assistant. And I didn't want to do that because my mother was a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse. 3 of my aunts were nurses, retired. And I was like, I don't want to be in the field because I heard so much about it. I don't want to be in the medical field. And she said, there's this one job, combat documentation production specialist. And I was like, what's that? She's like, I think it's a photographer. I was like, that one. So that's how I got that job. Got the job chosen. Got hooked up with a group. And we all swore in together. Raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Tim Miller, do solemnly swear. Did all of that, and then went to the airport. They out-processed us. We all went to the airport, and we were flying to Fort Sill. We were all going to the same basic training in Lawton, Oklahoma, Fort Sill. And I went. It was my first flight. And in that group, we all had to wait so long for our flight that they gave us a voucher to go eat. And they gave me the voucher. Look, you be in charge of everybody eating here. It'll probably be like, a couple $100. They gave me all the money. And they just said, good luck to you. And that's when I went to basic training.